Let me try this again. My name is Melissa Dubie, and I work at Indiana Resource Center for Autism. I am an educational consultant, and my focus is on autism, but also on puberty and sexual health. Today, I'm going to talk about puberty is coming, so let's get started. First of all, I want to say a warning is that some of the slides I will be talking about genitalia and anatomically correct terms for boys and girls. So if you have any younger children behind you in the Zoom meeting, it might be best if you try to remove them from the background. So as you start the area of preteens or teens going through puberty, I want you to be thinking about all the things that you have been able to teach your teens before this time. And how did you go about teaching them? You may have taught them using visuals, role playing, video modeling, step-by-step instruction, just any concrete information. Well, the same ways you've been teaching your kids before teenage years, you're going to apply those same strategies to teach the area of puberty. To get started, hopefully you've already been answering simple questions like, hey mom, how come that lady walking down the street has a big, huge stomach? To say, hey, that lady's pregnant. She's gonna have a boy or she's gonna have a girl. So it should be, talking about puberty should be a lifelong topic. And so you wanna have an ongoing conversation. You can't just give your kid a book and say, okay, here's a great book, read it and good luck, see you later. Our individuals with autism, as you know, they need step-by-step instruction in order to learn new topics. So who's gonna be that person to talk to your son or daughter? Is it gonna be you? It could be anyone in your family, but someone that's comfortable having these conversations. And it's really not always comfortable, but you're willing to look up the facts on the internet, in books, and then be able to talk about it as they go through puberty. So are you that go-to person? And some of your kids may not even be the type that's going to ask you the questions. So then you have to be an investigator. You always have to keep your eyes and your ears open and be aware to how the body is changing, so you know what step to prepare your kids for as they go through puberty. So I want you to take a deep breath and hopefully be able to laugh a little bit as well. And so, because this is going to be an area, a stage of their life that you can get through just like you got through all the other stages. Here are some websites that Catherine said that I'm going to send out to everybody as resources. These are some of my favorites. This kidshealth.org provides accurate, up-to-date information. There's a tab on there for kids, specifically for teens and specifically for parents. So as a parent or a teen or a kid, you might ask different questions, and so they gear the information that way. Amaze.org is a new cartoon media format. It has great videos, educational videos that are age appropriate to teach about puberty. Vanderbilt University has a curriculum called Healthy Bodies. It's a parent guide on puberty for boys and girls with disabilities. It's available in English and also in Spanish. Then the Organization for Autism Research has created a series on puberty, so check that out. And then I also have written some articles on our website as well. So to get started also, I want to say that we want to use proper names for genitalia. We don't want our girls to be going to the doctor when they're 44 years old and say, hey, it hurts down there, or how's that vajayjay going? Instead, we want to say vagina or vulva. We want to use the proper names. For boys, we want to say penis and not wee-wee. Also, to say for menstruating, to call it menstruation instead of my Aunt Flo is visiting. And Aunt Flo, who is Aunt Flo? For our literal learners, Aunt Flo is really going to be a vague term. So just to use the word menstruating. And how do you get even comfortable saying these words? I have to tell you, when the very beginning, when I started talking about puberty, I would get so red and so embarrassed by even saying any of these words out loud. And so I literally would walk around my house going, penis, 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 until I could say it without blushing. So that's part of the laughter part, is just getting used to saying the words, but using the medical terms is really imperative. First, we're going to talk about girls. These are a couple good resources. If your girls have already been looking at American Girl series books. This is a nice way to start talking about puberty. These two books, The Care and Keeping of You, are from American Girl. And then another great book is called From Daffodil Hartman, The Growing Up Guide for Girls. And that's specifically written for individuals with autism as well. So girls, they develop first, usually ages 7 to 10. The average age is 10 and a half years of age. Usually African American and Hispanic girls tend to start puberty before Caucasian girls. They usually menstruate about age 12 and a half to 13, and the whole process takes about 3 to 4 years. There's all kinds of signs that tell you about when your girls are about ready to start menstruating, and you can look at the breast development as they start as they go through puberty. Also, to say, are they ready for puberty? When do I start talking about different things? You know, you'll notice body odor, you'll notice pubic hair, acne, growth spurts, that kind of thing. I love this book, What's Happening to Me, because it's a cartoon type of characters. And as you can see from the pictures, the girls are all sizes and shapes, and it's okay. The message is that no matter how we look, our bodies are perfect. So the first part is also getting started with wearing a bra. I've had many families tell me that they start with a sports bra. It's easy, it goes over your head like a shirt. And buy a white one, because a white one, then you can dye it your daughter's favorite color. And so she likes purple and pink, you could tie dye it, or you could have two, one's be purple, one's pink. And then add an iron-on tattoo or an iron-on so that it's, oh gosh, you really want to wear your unicorn bra today. And so that really entices them to want to wear their bra. Here's a social narrative about wearing bras from this book, Autism and PDD Adolescents. When I get dressed, I put on my bra. I wear it under my shirt. I wear my bra all day. I will try not to touch my bra. At night, I take off my bra before I go to bed, and my mom will wash my bra sometimes. It is okay. So social narratives are a great way, as you know, to just predict what will happen with wearing our bra. Menstruating is another part of girls during puberty. It's about 6 to 12 months after girls develop breast mounds. And like I said, the average age is 12 or 13 or so. So you need a plan. You know, you're going to use a pad or a tampon. I always suggest that families start with pads. Pads are easy, they're safer. You know, before you start wearing a tampon, there's a lot more steps to it, and you have to be very routine based before you to make sure that you're changing it when you're supposed to. But pads are easier. So pads also, they come in all different kinds of sizes and shapes according to your menstrual flow, as you all know. But also, do you want wings on the side where it will attach itself around the underwear? Also, the different companies that sell pads have some great websites, like Kotex.com has a great website. They'll talk about the different, what different types or different kinds might be needed. They also have scented and unscented. So as we all know, unscented, when you're very sensitive, unscented doesn't really mean unscented at times. So it's really important that you buy a variety of different kinds. They also come in colors now, so they can have flowers on them or just white. So look to see what will work best for your daughter. This Task Galore book has a great visual of where to put the pad in the underwear, which I really like. I think to take some markers that, you know, that are non-washable and mark exactly where the front of the pad should go and where the back of the pad should go. And then your daughter will be able to independently be able to put that pad in their underwear. I also, please make sure you tell your daughter the sticky side goes on the underwear. I forgot to tell a girl that once, and I was mortified that I forgot. So make sure that that's also important. So menstruating is another social narrative. I might see blood on my underwear. It is okay, I'm not hurt. I've started my period. This is called menstruation. I will have my period for a few days every month. I need to tell a person, you can choose who, depending if they're at home or school, when I see the blood. This person will tell me what to do. So also I wrote a social narrative for a young lady, and the whole presence that the mother and I had worked through was, let's work, let's just have her change her pad every 2 hours. That seems like the flow that she's been having. And so that's what we taught her at home, or the parent taught her at home. Well, what happened in the middle of class one day, it was that 2 hour mark, and she raised her pad up in the air in the middle of math class and said, I have to go change my pad. So she was not mortified, but I was, her parents and I were like, oh my goodness, we need to redo this plan. We need to tweak it. And so we worked the plan around the times that she was having class in between. She was an hour and a half blocks of class. So let's make it so that the times that she changes at home is the same as the times we change at school. So we changed that. Also, the other thing at school is that sometimes she wouldn't quite get her pad quite right in, so in the panties at the right place. So when she was wearing shorts, it would fall out on the sides. And so what we discovered is that she really needed to wear long pants. So all of that is in the social narrative. And we also wanted to make sure that she would keep a card, and the card which she would cross out the times of when she was changing the pad. And then when she could cross it out and she'd taken care of being independent with her menstruation, then we put in that she would be able to play checkers with her friends. And this plan worked fabulous. This is a CD that I got on eBay many years ago, and I don't know if you can buy it anymore. Actually, I don't think you can. If you want this, email me. My email will be on the last slide, and I'd be glad to email you all of these pictures. This is just a very small collection of what is available on this CD. What I like about it is let's just take this panel on the left. It shows that, you know, when you're menstruating, you have cramps. And when you have cramps, there's things that you can do to take care of yourself. And so you could take pills, which would be like, you know, aspirin or ibuprofen, you know, some Tylenol, something like that. You could get a massage, you could take a stroll, and then you will feel better. And so your daughter can say, my choice is, this is what I think I want to try in order to make myself feel better. So it's really important that you review a plan with your daughter, not only of the things that we just talked about, but also so the time to change the pad, but also how is she going to carry it? Is she going to carry it in her purse? Is she going to carry it in her backpack? It's good to always have an extra supply. Girls, the first year or so of starting menstruating, they don't have it on the same day. It's very irregular each month. So it's important to always carry a pad. And then also to mark it off on the calendar when they do have their period. So eventually you will be able to figure out how long is her cycle. And so just it's important of how will she be prepared. And I would have her practice, even when she doesn't have her period, just have her practice taking the pad, maybe have a special pretty bag that she can put in her backpack so that she has all the supplies that she needs. And I would even include an extra pair of panties so that she can, again, be prepared if she does get blood on them. So let's now talk about facts for boys. Boys change from age about 9 to 14, usually about 11 and a half to 12. They do lag behind the girls. The whole process of puberty, like girls, takes 3 to 4 years. The first signs are usually testicular growth, or it could be body odor, pubic hair, pubic acne, facial hair, a deepening of the voice. All of these are signs that boys are about to change and going through the puberty stage. So a penis has two functions. And so what will your preteen understand? I think you could, if your preteen understands the medical information and they need to know, like, my penis not only does it urinate, but it also is a passage for semen. So when they start having nocturnal emissions or night dreams, wet dreams, then they'll need to know that, gosh, that's not urination. That's something that's happening during puberty. If you think your son isn't going to understand any of this concept, then I would even just skip this. It's not necessary for them to know. You want to teach your boys what to do what if they have erections at school? Because they can have 11 erections a day and 9 while they're sleeping. I am not kidding. That's exactly what this data shows. And so as a result, they need a plan for when they have erections at school. They're only going to last a minute or two, but they do not want them to be hitting on their penis just to make it go down. That doesn't work anyways. And so a better way some teenage boys have shared with me is they just hold their folders from, that they're carrying from class to class just down in front of their penis. They might go get a drink of water. They might excuse themselves just to take a short walk. And so that seems, and like I said, it becomes flaccid in a couple of minutes flat. And when to adjust themselves. I think the one thing to think about as your boys turn into teens is the type of underwear they're wearing. And so before they may have been wearing a tighter underwear, and now it's a briefs, and so now they may need to wear boxers. It just gives a little more room within, when they do have erections. Another thing to think about is wet dreams at night or nocturnal emissions. Boys will have them all through puberty. It's just a part of their life during puberty. And so if your son was urinating at night, it's important that they know that during puberty, it's going to be just this isn't that you haven't backslid. It's that you're having wet dreams, and that's just part of what your body is going through as it goes through the changes of puberty. And so I've written a couple social narratives, and the social narratives you can use, or if you want me to make some up for you, you can do that as well. And so this, Mayor Johnson's, these are from Mayor Johnson's and communicating about sexuality. The information, the visuals on here are graphic. So I have crossed out some of the graphicness because we're recording the webinar and it will be placed on Facebook. So if you would like some of these graphics, like I said, just let me know. So this is one that says, at home when I'm sleeping, I can have unplanned erections and ejaculations. Again, if they understand these terms, then use them. If the terms are too big, then make the terms be something that they will understand. An ejaculation is called a nocturnal emission or a wet dream. I need a plan. I can have a hamper close to my bed, or I can put my sheets and pajamas in the washing machine. In the morning, I can wash my clothes and sheets, then dry my clothes. Then I will have clean clothes, and I can make my bed. I will try the plan. So if you have any questions now about boys or girl puberty, please post it in the Q&A box, and then I will answer them when I'm completely finished. I'm going to go on to personal space, private, public, appropriate touching, masturbation, these type of topics related to puberty. So it's very important that we teach personal space, and you can start teaching personal space at a very young age. It can, when our kids, maybe they have a sibling and we don't want them to play with our toys, then we start teaching where's a personal space around the toys so that the younger sibling can't get into the toys. You might have heard the term hula hoop. We try to figure out where a hula hoop is around our body so that people will stay with, out of our personal space. Those are great ways to start teaching personal space. Here's a social narrative about personal space, what personal space is. Let me show you, stand with my arms out. The blue area of the picture is my personal space. People should not stand any closer than your fingertips when they're talking, playing, or walking in a line. My friends like to have their own space. When I touch them or get too close, they will feel uncomfortable. So I think some of our kids might be really more aware of personal space now because of COVID-19. We keep talking about 6 feet distance. I'm sure, like I have done, I've gotten out actually a yardstick to show where 6 feet is. So maybe some of your kids already understand personal space, and some of them don't. So we have to teach it. So tickling changes for different ages. It's really important because tickling leads to consent, and everybody needs to know that there are rules for tickling. And I also try to say that tickling is a family game. So you don't tickle your classmates. You only tickle your family members. And it's a great time. You can see in this picture that the dad is tickling his son, and they are both laughing and they are both having a fantastic time. And so the person being tickled must ask to be tickled. And the person, if the person doesn't ask, hey, please tickle me, then the person shouldn't even, the adult should not even tickle the child. And when when the child says, stop, I've had enough tickling, stop means stop. No means no. That's what I mean is you're teaching, tickling turns into teaching about consent. And I think I had a family recently I talked to, and they said that their son was trying to tickle girls in class. So that's why I thought of the best rule for that would be tickling is only a family game, because it's hard to say, well, tickling is for only if you're 4 years or younger, you know, so you have to walk up to everybody and say, are you 4? Are you 3? Are you 2? You know, so that would be a little more complicated. So tickling, I think, should just stay as a family game. So related to personal space, I also want to talk about private and public. And this leads to many, many conversations throughout puberty. But private and public, I always say the only private place is in the bedroom with the door closed. And so everywhere else is public. So the living room is public. Sitting on the computer is public. You should leave computer outside of the bedroom so that they'll be in public places. The phone is a public place, the bus, the car, everywhere else is a public place. So the only private place is a bedroom with the door closed. And sometimes if your child understands, can generalize from one bathroom to another. So in other words, if they really understand that the bathroom at home is a private space, but that the bathroom at the high school or the middle school is a public space, then you could say the bathroom at home is a private space. But if they can't generalize, then I would stick to the bedroom with the door closed is the only private place. And so I always have families try to start teaching private and public at home first, obviously. And so that everybody could start with a sign on the door that says, please knock, and then wait till someone says, come in. And so everybody practices this. So if you're a 2-parent home, one parent could go in and even pretend to take a nap. And then the other parent comes up with the kid and says, knock, 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 and says, can I come in? And if no one answers, then they have to leave for a set period of time and then come back and try again. And so everybody should try, please knock. It could be, I need personal time. Also to play with my toys and I don't want to be bothered. I'm reading a book, I don't want to be bothered. So all of those are please knock circumstances. Now, as the kids turn into puberty and they start fondling themselves, that please knock really might turn into you better knock. So just so you know. So it's common for individuals to touch themselves at a very, very young age, just like when our toddlers know that they figured out they have 10 toes, they also have figured out that they have genitalia. And so it's really common for them to fondle at a very early age. But as they grow into puberty, it's important that there are rules for masturbation. They must only do this at home, like I said, in the bedroom, at a private place, which is with the door closed. Never, ever, ever at school or any public places. It's imperative that you teach boundaries. And even if you need to have a reinforcer so that when they choose to be in their bedroom, that they get this reinforcer. So here's a story that I can share with you that a family had me come to their house and they said their son was masturbating on the dryer. And so whenever anybody would enter through the house, they came in from the garage through the mudroom, and the washer and dryer were in the mudroom. Well, this young man was more of a severe cognitive ability level, and so was unaware of anyone else coming in through the mudroom, but he loved the heat and the vibration of the dryer. Well, his sister was older and she had brought some friends home, all neurotypical, and they came home and found him masturbating on the dryer. She was mortified and never wanted to have her friends over ever again. And so as a result, the parents said, we really need to figure out how to make this better. So what we did is we tried to think of of a place in his room that could still be a vibration and heat. And so what we did is the parents had this rocker, this old gaming rocker that wasn't even functional as a gaming rocker anymore, but it still would rock. And then we put those beads in it that's like a vibration bead that you sometimes can put in your car. And then we also put a heating pad on it, hoping that that would emulate how it feels with the dryer. And then he had this little duck, and this little duck was was a stuffed animal that he was always holding when he was masturbating. And so we would have him hold that duck in his bedroom. And that duck, the rule was that duck was never allowed to leave the bedroom. And so if he wanted that duck, he had to go in the bedroom. So then we made two visuals, one with the dryer with a big X on it. And then we made this rocker with the duck picture photo with a smiley face on it. And every time he was on the dryer, his mom or dad would take him by the hand and then walk him to his bedroom and show him the duck, and they would close the door. And after a couple weeks, he got it. And so now he's having private personal masturbation time in his bedroom with the door closed. And it is being successful. The other thing as boys go through our clothing awareness, boys or girls, but boys, is to think about what type of pants are they wearing. Are they still wearing sweatpants? Because it's easy to get underneath the sweatpants with their hands than other types of pants. And so could they wear jeans? Well, sometimes they can't wear jeans because of the sensitivity to the seams. So could they wear parachute pants, or could they wear overalls? Are there other materials that would be more confining so they couldn't get their hands into their pants? Because if you move into jeans, parachute pants, overalls, you can also put a belt on them, and then that would also make it a little tighter, a little more hard to get your hands under your clothes. The other thing that many families have told me that has been helpful is to wear tighter clothes under their clothes, like some of the Armor All type of shorts where it's just more snug. So that's just another idea. This book called Taking Care of Myself by Mary Roble she has some great social narratives in her book about masturbation and other puberty topics. But this one I really like. There's parts of it I'm going to read. It's okay to touch, rub, or scratch most areas of my body while others are looking. I can scratch my head, rub my arm, touch my legs or feet while others are watching. It is not okay to touch, scratch, or rub my private areas when students, parents, teacher, or other adults can see me. My private areas are the places on my body which are usually covered by my underwear. I love that it explains each part of, like, what are my private areas. And so when can I touch? Where can I touch? Where can I not touch? I think all of those are important aspects. Also be specific to boys. When people are watching, it's not okay to touch or rub my penis, my bottom, or between my legs, even when I have my clothes on. And also specific to girls, because girls masturbate just like boys do. They're just a little more discreet about it. Or they just don't have their body parts are internal instead of external. But specific to girls, when people are watching, it's not okay for me to touch my breasts, my bottom, or between my legs, even when I have my clothes on. So here's a hands in your pants, another resource. Sometimes I put my hands inside my pants. This is not a good choice. It is okay to put my hands in my pockets. I can fold my arms. And you can add in what you think is best. I will try to keep my hands out of my pants. So you must teach only touch your genitalia in private spaces. And really the private spaces have to be, like I said, in the bedroom. It can't be at school, it can't be in the community. If they don't understand that bathroom, and they go into a public bathroom in middle school or high school, and then they're found actually masturbating, they will not only be ridiculed by their peers, but that'll be embarrassing, and the kids will give them a hard time for the rest of their school life. If it's in the community, it becomes a arrestable offense. And so it's just imperative that we really together with the school people, with home, so that we have a team together that's really trying to figure out what is the best plan. It's just a lifetime lesson that we need to teach our teens. So we're here for you. Please feel free to reach out to me. This is my email. And you can ask me questions anytime. You can also call me and ask just like, hey, this is my kid. I don't really know what the best thing to do is, and I will help you out with it. Thanks.